Welcome everyone to our first ever live streaming event here at Outlier. We're so excited and very happy that you guys have joined us today. And I want to make sure and let you know that we're going to have another webinar after this, and we will have a series of webinars that are on a various amount of topics. And the next one will be about documents and your residency and the paper chase, everything you need to know about residency. I'm Debbie Davis, and I lead the Outlier Experience Management team. And I'm here with Alfredo Abrego, who is our leader of our immigration team. With my team, with the Outlier Experience Management, our job is really to inform and educate you about our services and how we can help you achieve your dreams in Costa Rica. Myself, I'm originally from the United States, and we've owned in Costa Rica for 11 years. And we currently divide our time between San Marino Costa, aka the beach, even though I'm in Arenal today, and Northern Kentucky by Cincinnati. And that's where I have practiced law for a little bit over 20 years. And I already mentioned that Alfredo is with me today. He's from the Central Valley. He works in our office in Escazú. And I already mentioned he's the lead for our immigration team. Alfredo, could you tell everybody that's on this webinar today a little bit about who you are and what you do and your job at Outlier helping expats?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Debbie, for your introduction. Well, yeah, my name is Alfredo Abrego. I'm the current lead immigration manager here in Outlier Legal, which is a truly pleasure to be. What we do here basically is, as Debbie mentioned, our mission is to help those expats or those outliers to achieve their dreams. And basically, my day-to-day job is to actually develop and complete our mission, that is to develop, to create and develop intelligent ways to actually fulfill that mission. So, well, I am 28 years old. I am an immigrant myself because I was born in Panama. So basically, I came here, and I would say that I didn't happen to actually leave the residency process or the citizenship process, because I came here with only 1 or 2 years old. But I am not far from most of our clients who came to the country to seek for a dream to live in Costa Rica, within this beautiful country. So basically, that would be my introduction. I hope you actually enjoy this webinar, and I hope you also get registered into the future webinars that we have here in Outlier Legal Plan, because this is something that we are doing with all our love and all our effort for you guys.
So Alfredo, could you tell everyone a little bit about, how many people work on the immigration team and kind of how that's set up in the different roles?
Sure. Yeah. Well, our immigration team is divided into 3 different teams, sub-teams. I would say one is the immigration service coordinators. That the team leader is Melissa Espinosa. She's absolutely amazing. These immigration service coordinators are the people who actually are in contact with our clients by answering all the emails, the phone calls, having all the meetings in person, the in-person meetings, coordinating all the documentation, all your appointments and everything. Then we have the document processing team. That this one is being led by Oscar Ledesma, who is amazing also. What they do is they give this assistance to the coordinators regarding documents itself. They prepare all the documentation. They manage that all the government fees are being paid, that everything is basically on time to be filed before immigration. And then we have the legal processing team, that this one is being led by Kevin Morgan currently, who has just recently joined our company, and we're thrilled with his job. So this team basically are the ones who are in the street. They are the superheroes that are dealing with immigration department, filing immigration department, fighting immigration department, going into Caja to register you all, doing your Dimex appointments, and basically that's their main job. So basically that's how it is. That's the organization on the immigration team here in Outlier Legal.
Well, thank you for that. It's a lot of moving parts, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Lots of people, lots of moving parts.
Yeah.
Well, the thing, before we get started, as everybody knows, the purpose of this webinar is really to help people understand about the Caja and that system and what's going on with that today. I know myself, one of the things that kept us on the fence of residency for years and years, way longer than it should have ever been, was the mystery surrounding Caja. Myself, I always felt like it was like confusing and mysterious, and I really didn't understand like how it worked or what it cost. And so that's why we thought that one of the first webinars that we should do, because there's so many questions surrounding that, you know, today and this year especially. But a little bit about some housekeeping information for all y'all that are out there listening and attending the webinar today. What we're going to do is we have a Q&A section at the bottom where you can ask questions. We don't have where you can raise your hand or be in the chat. We thought that the best and easiest way was this Q&A session. So, and then what will happen is if we don't get to all the questions and get all the answers today, we certainly will work hard to get those for you. So just hang on and let's get through all of this. And then, you know, at the end, if you guys have questions, you're perfectly happy for you to listen to them and then, you know, respond to them. And if we can't do it during the webinar, we'll do it after. Okay. So Alfredo, could you kind of tell people just what is like Caja? What's the CCSS? What does that stand for? Like, you know, it's for expats and people who aren't from Costa Rica, it's very confusing. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, sure. Well, basically, Caja, it's kind of a social security. It is an institution that is it is created by the Constitution. So it's a whole different institution that this one, they have their own budget, they have their own ruling. So basically, it's like the main structure of all the clinics and hospitals in Costa Rica. It's that's how it is managed, all the social security part. So mainly that's Caja. Caja goes for the CCSS, goes for Caja Costarricense de Seguro Social. Basically, this develops not only the pensions for all those people who are retired. That's one of the main things that probably people will have questions regarding this IBM thing. But also manage all the health insurance for people who actually live in Costa Rica. Okay.
That, you know, it is just, I guess for most of us and other that are originally from other parts, you know, of the world, obviously in the US, we are familiar with Social Security. We're familiar with paying into Social Security system. In Canada, they have their own system. It's called differently itself. So it's something we're all kind of used to, the government, you know, wanting us to pay into things. So does everybody pay into Caja in Costa Rica, or just the foreigners, or do Costa Ricans also pay?
Costa Ricans also pay. However, we need to do like a little difference between the residents and the Costa Ricans here, because for Costa Ricans, if you're actually working, you need to pay to Caja. Either you have either you are in a company that you're in a payroll, the company is the one who actually pays to Caja your monthly fee, or if you're working as a self-employed person, then you need to be registered as a self-employed person before Caja and pay your monthly fee. I would say, and this is one problem that actually Caja has, is that not all the self-employed persons actually are registering to Caja because the fees that they are being charged, it's truly ridiculous. Caja does not make a difference or does not even ask for maybe in the case of a residence, some residencies for a CPA letter to know how actually you're making a monthly basis. They have this schedule depending on your profession. They already have a fee. It doesn't matter if you're making more or if you're making less than that fee. That's what they are charging you. So for residents here, basically depending on the category, one would be pensionados, mostly is based in the 1,000 as immigration requested, the $1,000 monthly income. That also depends on the pension letter, right? Some people actually is receiving $3,000 of pension, so good for them. I would wish to have that.
So are the rates the same as far as percentage wise, no matter who you are, or self-employed percentage rates higher than someone who's just working at the hardware store by chance?
No, if you're in a payroll, the percentage is much lower than the actual percentage that they actually charge to the self-employed persons. So that's why it's not equal for everybody, and that's why the most of the self-employed person are not registering to Caja, because they have higher fees that they need to pay instead of they have been working in a company and the company pays their monthly fee.
Okay, so if a Costa Rican isn't working, then they wouldn't pay into Caja.
Right. They wouldn't be paying to Caja, but they would also, they're not going to have the right to go to a clinic and get medicine or everything, or they have the right to be actually assisted into the clinic, but they will be charged. And the charges that they actually do or give is actually very, very expensive.
Okay. I just wanted to take a quick moment and ask people on the call to just fill out a quick little poll, if you don't mind, just to kind of see who's on the line with us today. Just take a second. Everybody should be able to see that. It's just a little quick question to see, because we've got some questions coming in on the Q&A. I don't think, Alfredo, you can see the results. Or can you see them?
The results of the poll, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes, I am looking at that right now.
Okay, so good. So everybody can see it. Sorry. So we have mostly pensionados.
Yeah.
And investors and a few rentistas and some other folks as well. That's great. Myself, my husband and I are pensionados. If we had done this when we should have done it years ago, we would have been an investor. So, it all works out. So one of the things that you were talking about is the percentage that the different people pay, and if you're an employed person versus like self-employed. So can you tell everybody a little bit about, if you're in one of these residency categories, is yours a set percentage no matter what category it is?
Yes, that it actually depends on the income itself.
Yes,
as I mentioned,
but the percentage.
Right, the percentage is based. They have like 4 different stages, I would say. One goes from X month to this. I'm gonna open actually a sheet here, so bear with me just a little, so that I can give you the actual amounts on how they actually charge. Okay, so I have it here. All right, so here is how it actually works. Well, right now, everybody I think knows regarding this IBM thing. So they have divided the percentage that they actually charge for the usual insurance as a volunteer, the volunteer insurance, and they divided another percentage for of the income for the IBM thing. So if you're receiving, and I'm gonna say this in colones, I don't have my calculator here so that I can translate it or to exchange it into dollars, but I'm gonna say this in colones. So the first poll, you would say, for people who is actually doing 303,000 colones and 253. That's the first like amount that they have. This is like the minimum. Maybe people may be doing less, so they are being charged with this. Or so this people is being charged a 2.89% of that's the amount that they have to pay regarding this income. On the second, let's say it street, you would say from 303,254 colones to 652,507 colones. These people is going to pay. This is only for the insurance, right? For the volunteer.
Right. Yes.
Then after this, I'm going to tell for this IBM thing. These people is being charged 4.33%. That's how it's they're being charged for this. Then it goes the third stage, that it goes from 652,508 colones, from 1 million, that goes up to 1,305,000 colones and 14. That goes for 6.24%. That's the amount that they actually charge. Then it goes from 1,305,015 colones to 1,957,521 colones. This people is being charged for 8.02% of this income. And then it goes for 1,957,522 colones until whatever it is. So it doesn't have any more limits. So all above this amount, they are going to pay this 10.69%.
Let's talk about the Caja just again for a second. So if somebody is paying into the Caja, which is the health insurance portion, right? Yeah. So they have the right to then go to the clinic, go to the hospital, get medical care, and all that medical care is free.
Exactly.
And they get their prescriptions, they get all of that. So you walk in the door.
That they need, yeah.
Yeah. So you walk in the door, you get your treatment, you leave, and there's not a penny owed. So right. So let's say that somebody's a pensionado, okay? Mm-hmm. And they want to figure out, okay, well, which the threshold for pensionado is $1,000 a month, right? So let's just use that as an example, because I think people can kind of extrapolate from that, because we can't get into every single income. We'll be here all day. So if somebody has the income, and let me back up with that $1,000 is just whichever, if it's a couple, let's say it's a married couple, you're going to use whoever has closer to the $1,000 without going under as the primary applicant, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say it's $1,000. How much would that be in a Caja payment monthly?
Okay. Well, for 1,000, I actually did the math already. I looked for the exchange thing right now, and the $1 is 692 colones currently today. At least this, I got this information from back San Jose Bank. So right now, maybe some other banks may have a variation there that I don't think is that going to be that relevant. But for $1,000 is in colones is 678,000 colones. This is being charged according to the stages that I gave. It is on the third stage, so they are being charged 6.24%, and for IBM they're being charged 7.20%. So in dollars, in everything taking into consideration the volunteer and the IBM, it should be around between a range of $130 and $140.
Okay, so for the IBM and the Caja, it is around $130.
Around, from 130 to 140. Yeah.
Okay, and some of that is going to depend on at the time that your Caja is calculated what the exchange rate is on that day. Is that right?
Right. Exactly. That's why I prefer to give like a range, because as you may know, dollar right now is is fluctuating. They are going out always up right now. So maybe people when they do this insurance thing, the dollar may be in 700 colones or maybe more, maybe less. So
Right.
it may vary. So yeah, it depends on the exchange type on the day that you actually register into CAH.
Right. And your rate stays the same once you register, and your exchange rate stays the same?
Yeah, once you're being given a fee, a monthly fee, that's what you pay for life.
Okay.
You may
Okay.
request, maybe if your circumstance change, you may request a reevaluation of the fee. Maybe if you change, let's say from rentista to permanent residency, and you're no longer receiving your $2,500 income, you may request this recalculation with a CPA letter. So Caja may vary your income, but yeah.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. All right, so we talked about the pensionados a little bit.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about just a moment the rentistas. And for the
Mhm.
purpose of this webinar, we're not going into all the differences and the ins and outs of the different residency categories.
Yeah.
Just really the caja and what the costs are and things like that. So the rentista is a $2,500 a month threshold
Mhm.
for people to qualify for that. So if they're going to be paying the caja and the IVM for that 2,500, how much? And oh, let me back up. This
Yeah.
rate is per family. So when you're saying
Right.
it's the 130, we just use that what you just said. That's
Mhm.
if there's husband and wife, that's for both of
Yes,
them per month.
for both.
And if
Yes.
right, and if for some reason they had an underage child, it would cover the child as well.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. And rentista is the same, whether you have a husband and wife and one child or 10 children, it's per family.
It's per family. Exactly.
Okay. All right. So back to my question, sorry. The 2,500, what would that be with the caja and the IVM?
2,500 for rentistas is going around $380 to $390
Okay. And that's at the current exchange rate.
with the current. Yes. Yes.
Right.
With the
Okay.
current, with the
Okay.
days.
All right, so now let's talk a little bit more about the one I think is a little complicated, just because it's
Okay.
not just a clear cut, right? Is the
Yeah.
investor category. So
Okay.
the way I understand that is that because there's not a threshold number to qualify for that actual residency category, that the Caja is going to take into consideration the person's income in Costa Rica versus their expenses. Is that right?
No, they. I'm gonna be totally honest. Caja actually do not care about the expenses itself.
Okay.
If they actually request for this information, is mostly just to assure that you have the means to actually pay the fee. That's
I
it.
see.
They
Okay.
they only care about the income.
Okay. So they're just making sure that you're still going to be able to live in Costa Rica and take care of yourself and meet your obligations because they don't
Exactly.
want someone to be a drain on the system. Okay.
Exactly.
So, but the income that people are claiming is their income within Costa Rica,
Yes.
an
Yes. Well,
investor?
exactly. So most people, at least our clients, what they do is that they open a bank account here in Costa Rica. Well, they need to live here. They need means to live here. So they open a bank account here in Costa Rica and they start wiring money to a bank account here. So once they get actually approved, and we need to do this Caja process, the investors, the parents of Costa Ricans, the residency through marriage, that are not, they don't have an actual income to actually apply for at immigration for these specific categories. What they do is that they request a CPA letter, certified public accountant letter, that is going to mention maybe, I don't know exactly what the CPA actually requests information to do with this letter. I don't know if bank statements or tax declarations or something. But with this CPA letter, the CPA is going to state that you receive X amount of income. Based on that income is that the Caja actually calculates your your monthly fee.
Okay. So that seems, and that too is a per family, right?
Exactly.
If it's one,
It is per
or however
family.
many people, yeah, how many people it is.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's really helpful. And I hope people on the call, that's really helping people see clearly how much it is, and will be. For many of us from other places, that's not a really, considering there's no out of pocket, there's no deductible, there's none of those things we're used to. It doesn't seem like it's that much in many respects. I did want to ask you a question about something though. I think they changed something just a little bit, right, with this March event with the IVM, and that if you're new into the Caja, there may be some situations where you may not be covered immediately. There's like a 6-month.
Right.
Can you tell everybody about that?
Yes. Well, with this IVM, it's with a V, as in Val. With this IVM thing, the new ruling that they actually released, and they started applying on March 16th, if I'm not wrong. They mentioned that for those people who had actually congenital disease or pre-existing disease, they had to, once they are registered, they need, and that, well, there is a special point here that what they mentioned is that this congenital or pre-existing disease must be, and this is the tricky part, that is high cost maintained, right? Because it is a low cost, then it wouldn't apply according to what the ruling itself says. The people would need to wait a time frame of 6 months so that they can start treating themselves with Caja, with the actual clinic here in Costa Rica. So that's like the main tricky part there with this IVM thing. And I don't know if that actually answered your question, or if you want me to.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because I think when people are weighing the different options of what they want to do and what's important to them, people really need to truly understand exactly what all these different things are. Most of us, just like wherever you're from, you really understand your system, right? And then when you move somewhere, or even if you haven't moved and you have different insurance next year, you have to understand how it's covered, what's not, and all that. One of the things I think that we probably need to cover that we haven't talked about yet, and people are probably very confused about, is what is the IVM? Because we had the mysterious Caja. Now I think everybody probably understands that a lot better. But this IVM, I think people are really confused about what that is and how it pertains to them.
Sure. Well, this IVM thing goes for, I'm going to say it in Spanish and then in English, it's invalidez, vejez y muerte. So that goes for disability, old age, and death. Basically, that's the insurance that they are currently obligating people to pay this.
Okay. And so with it being for like old age pension and death benefits, and that
And the disability,
and the disability. Let's say you're a pensionado and you're 65. If I pay into that, am I going to get any money?
Yeah, I'm gonna be
and
truly honest.
When am I going to get the money?
Yeah, I don't think so. Caja actually requests for a specific amount of payments that you need to do to actually receive. If you're a Costa Rican, let's say, that goes for you can pension yourself until you have 65 in men and 62 in women. And for that time, you need at least, I think it was like 250 payments or quotations. And if in case you get to that age and you have not fulfilled this, then you need to at least have covered I think it was like 200 quotations, so that you can actually receive your pension. So most of our pensionados is very well, people very older that just want to come and retire and live in the nature and stuff. So to actually be paying and get to this quote of 200 payments, it's going to be actually very difficult to receive
Even in
anything or the benefits of it. Yeah.
Yeah, even in the blue zone where people live to be 100, we're going to be really kind of hard pressed to get any of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, and what about folks? Because since the pandemic, we have lots of families that have been coming to Costa Rica from all over the world. What about younger folks? How long do they have to pay in before they would be able to get a benefit?
It would be the same. If they, as I mentioned, if they reach the age of being a pension, you need to have at least, I believe it was 200 payments to Caja so that you can actually receive the benefits of it, or the pension.
Okay. I wanted to ask another quick question.
Yeah.
So I'm sending out a poll and see what everybody thinks of this one. It's like, how are you concerned about the new Caja rate? Oh, yeah. Well, let's see.
Well, that's moving fast.
It is moving fast, isn't it?
Yeah.
$75.25. Okay. Well, no. Well, about somewhere in there. Somebody had mentioned here in the Q&A, and I think it's probably a good thing to talk about.
Okay.
We worry a lot about trying to come up with what's the best solution. Some people think, well, maybe I should just do border runs, maybe I should buy private insurance, maybe I should get travel insurance. And someone had mentioned here about once they're approved, and if they're they get signed up for the Caja, they're going to have this 6 months to wait. And I think the thing that I would say about that, for us, we kind of got stuck here in the pandemic. We came for 4 months and left in 14 months.
Okay.
And so we were here for quite a while uninsured, because just the way the situation was. And so I looked into, and I don't know if other people that are listening probably have as well. In different parts of the world, we're used to different kinds of insurance. And so for me, because I'm from the US, that's the system I know the most about, because we do not have a socialized medicine. And back in the day, we had pre-existing conditions all the time for everything. And there was always a wait, even if you changed employers, you would have to wait a certain amount of time while you had that insurance before you could use some options of that insurance. And so what I had found in looking into the different types of private insurances in Costa Rica is that's still the standard. I think, other than high blood pressure. I think that one there is no exclusion or exemption. But for everything else, it's not 6 months. It's like forever, And so one of the reasons we were looking into it back in May of 20 was the insurance that we had taken out, my travel insurance, and then my husband's insurance he had were run out. Well, the very thing we needed the insurance for, he would have never been covered. And so, I always tell people, you really, really need to understand and really quiz before you make that decision, because let me tell you, it's expensive. And the older you are, I think our quote was something like, and it was a pretty good coverage level, but I feel like it was something like $700 a month or something like that. That was a lot. Yeah. And then there's the travel insurance question. I also tell people, I've had friends that had travel insurance and had a very serious incident. There's an article on our website about that, and nothing was covered. And she ended up with a $50,000 hospital bill, 10 of that being the air ride to San Jose. Um, so I mean, I don't know if you hear those stories too, but I mean, those are the things that the stories I've heard and my experience.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I don't know, sometimes I don't know if you've had people say, well, it's okay, I have this insurance or this insurance in my home country.
Mhm.
Okay, you get hurt here, that's not going to help you. And even if it does, let's say that you have some policy that does, you're going to have to pay for it here first and then get reimbursed. And for
Exactly.
me, that makes paying for the Caja very much worth it. Um,
Mhm.
you know, um, so I mean, I don't know what kind of questions or stories are you hearing about those issues?
Well, the main story that I actually heard, it was regarding a rentista guy. Uh, he had a family of five, so his wife, and three children. So what I heard is that he was paying an insane amount of dollars for the insurance for all five, because he was needing to purchase a different insurance based on its needs for each one of them. So if you actually do the math, maybe uh, buying an insurance in the States or whatever part of the world it is, for five people, it's going to take a lot of money, uh, just
Mhm.
uh, just to be covered for something that you may use or you may not use, right? Instead of, well, according to today's calculation that I did, uh, $380 for all five people, right? So
Mhm.
if you actually consider that is a very reasonable amount to pay for an insurance that is going to cover the medicines, doctors, uh, hospitals, operations, whatever it is for all five people. So
Right.
sometimes you need just to put things in a balance and see things in an objective way,
Right.
so that you can actually know what is actually going to be best for you. Do you want to be a perpetual tourist? I've heard that before. And actually, I had yesterday. I had a dinner with one of our clients, Eric Biaggi. Uh, I don't know if he's here, but well, I salute him. He was actually telling me that he came here when Costa Rica was given the notice that they were closing borders. So at the end, he liked Costa Rica coming in as a tourist. He's overstayed, and then after this happened, and he was actually in Florida looking for some properties for him. So somebody called him and tell him, you need to come if you want to get into Costa Rica. You need to come back today because
Right.
tomorrow they're closing the borders. So what he told me is that, yeah, I'm not going to believe that. That's sort of lie. Then he saw the actual communication of the government, and he took a flight right away. On the
Right.
same flight that a friend of him was actually coming, um, it was one of his friends, and he wasn't able to enter because he was a tourist.
Right.
Uh, in that time, when they actually closed the borders, they were only getting people in. But if you were a resident, if you had
Mhm.
any kind of category here in Costa Rica, if you were Costa Rican, so maybe that's one of the things that may happen to you if you're just planning to be a perpetual tourist. You may not enter in case something like this that was coming from nowhere happens, right? So
Right.
that is
Oh,
one of
yes.
the yeah,
I know,
that is one of
Alfredo.
the exactly.
We were here, St. Patrick's Day of 20,
Mhm.
right? And we had one of our neighbors who had flown back to the States, and I'm messaging her essentially saying, you've got to be back here by midnight or you're not getting back into the country, because they didn't have residency yet. We didn't have residency yet. Remember, we were the fence sitters. We were still fence sitting,
Mhm.
and it really took a pandemic for me to understand that if I'm going to come to this, it doesn't matter what country, any country, if I'm going to come to a country and I'm going to stay an extended period of time, that I am putting my assets at risk by being they're uncovered.
Right.
And not only that, the biggest issue was that, you know, there's people I'm sure on this webinar that own property here, like we do. And, you know, if you weren't here and you didn't experience that you were somewhere that you couldn't leave, and if you did leave, you didn't know if or when or ever you could ever come back,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it was very disheartening. So that's the day we decided well, in fact, we just looked at each other and said, boy, we've been really stupid. So to us, and you know, we've used the Caja since we got it. In many ways, I mean, it's so far I've been very impressed with, you know, this, how it's streamlined and how they do things. You know, for me, it's a learning curve because, you know, I'm not fluent in Spanish, but everybody seems to be, you know, they're very gracious and very patient, you know. And so, you know, I think it's fine. And I have friends that have been here for years, decades. And, you know, they use what they call a little bit of a blended system. You know, they'll pay out of pocket for tests and things. And then they use the Caja. One of my friends had very serious surgery last year. She's doing great. And she swears by using the Caja and using the public system. It just, like, you know, wherever you're from in the world, your system isn't perfect either, because mine isn't. Exactly. And there's things that you know, that you just don't like, and especially now with healthcare in my home country, you know, it's just kind of a hot mess all the time. And you know, somebody on the chat was talking about, well, in the Caja, some medicines, you know, some medications they don't have. Well, that's going to be true. But I can tell you, in my home country, medications they don't sometimes have, or they won't let you have them. And to get access to those, because they're really more like medications that are, I don't want to say they're trial medications, but they're newer, right? They're like the latest thing kind of medications. You have to fight tooth and nail to try to get your insurance to pay for that. So again, it's not a perfect system. So I think people just have to decide what their risk level is, you know, what they want to spend their money on. Do they want to spend their money going on border runs, which it's not cheap after you, I mean, I've had friends that have done that for years and it's not real cheap. That's a cost too. And are you okay with, if something happens here, you know, you're going to have to go to the private hospital and pay an awful lot of money. And for me, you know, in our family personally, that's kind of what it came down to. And I can't tell you how relieved, if anybody read what I wrote, or it's not a secret, but a few weeks ago, my husband it turned out it was dehydration. Thank God that was what it was. But I didn't know it was that when he collapsed on the floor. And all was going on in my mind was, what am I going to do? And thank God this is not going to be a $50,000 hospital bill because I have Caja. And so, I mean, that's just me. The one thing I want to ask you about, so I can look at these questions, can you explain a little bit about, you know, because Outlier, one of the things we do, right, we're advocates for our clients, even, you know, just in general, whether we're been hired for a particular thing or not, Outlier is always fighting for expats. What's been Outlier's response to this IVM?
Yeah, well, thank you that you actually asked for that. Yes, that's actually one of our main difference point regarding other law firms that provide this immigration services, is that we're always trying to improve and to fight for those expats' rights. So currently with this whole IVM thing, we have been trying to prepare a legal document so that we can call it to be unconstitutional. right? So basically, our main goal here is to suspend this IBM fee so that we can, well, at least those expats and residents who are in the country, not only our clients, but the whole expat community here in Costa Rica that are looking for residency, so that they don't have to pay that anymore. I'm going to be honest, this unconstitutionality thing is going to take a while. Yeah, it is a long process, but that's how everything is built, right? Rome wasn't built in one day.
That's
So
right.
yeah, so that's what we're doing right now. We're trying to fight this Caja thing, and well, hopefully, maybe in some time we may provide services or may have a communication that the IBM was dropped down because of the fight that we gave. So basically,
Right.
that's mainly what we're doing right now.
Oh, thanks. You know, the one thing that we didn't cover, and somebody asked a question here about this, because this is, I think, for people, you know, even ourselves, my family, my husband and I, you know, we don't live here full time. We're kind of a half and half situation, going home for the half of the year for the birthdays and the holidays, and then coming
Okay.
back in the warm time, so I don't have to be in the snow.
Yeah.
But there's a way where if somebody's going to be out of the country, out of Costa Rica for like 6 months, that you can go in and like stop your Caja and then restart it, isn't there?
Yes. Actually, what a Caja request is that you need to be for at least, I think it was 2 or 3 months outside of the country, so
Mhm.
that you can request a suspension of the fees. So you don't have to be paying Caja between those 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months that you're not going to be in Costa Rica and you're not going to be receiving medical treatments or medicines here in Costa Rica. So there is a way that you can just go to Caja, request a suspension for the time that you're going to be outside of the country, and then once you come back, you just renew your monthly insurance. That's it.
Well, I think that's a big thing, because that could really help people cut that cost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I wanted to ask just another quick question, and while people are
Yeah.
answering this, so a couple of people had a question about this. So if somebody doesn't really have, you know, we talk a lot about income, and I think we use that word, and sometimes maybe the way Caja is looking at the word is a little bit more loose than the way we're saying it. If somebody doesn't really have actual income, but they have savings, right, or other kinds of money, they're living off of that, then they
Mhm.
would still just show, they would open up an account in Costa Rica, let's say $1,500 a month from wherever that account is in the States or Canada or anywhere in the world it is, and then
Mhm.
just transfer, let's say $1,500 a month, right, to their bank account in Costa Rica, and then that's the income they would look at to set the fee, right?
Exactly. Yes,
Okay.
exactly. That's how it works.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I just want, because a couple of people have asked about that, and you know, if one person had wanted to know if if somebody takes out private insurance on top of having Caja, there's no offset. You just pay the Caja and you'd be paying your insurance too.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. If you want to have
yeah.
your private insurance, that's totally up to you. That's great. But at least here in Costa Rica, to be a resident or have any kind of immigration status, except for the state permit, maybe uh, you need to be registered into Caja. That's a must. That's a
Mm-hmm.
requirement. That's for totally the end of the process. You only need to register into Caja until you actually have your approval resolution, so that you can continue with the last step of the process, that is the documentation process, where you go either to immigration, Correo de Costa Rica, the BCR bank, to take the picture and get the DMX.
Right, and some people had mentioned that, just to clarify, you know, all of this that we're talking about today really affects people after they've been approved. So
Exactly.
if you're in the country or whatever you're doing prior to approval, you're going to have a backup plan for insurance until that approval when you're covered by Caja. Right?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Okay. And you were mentioning, I'm going to launch this other poll just to get a quick sense of what other places people are looking at. Because in Costa Rica, the Caja is mandatory. Some countries have the same similar system, such as Panama, but it's not mandatory to pay into it. I mean, I don't know if you know anything about that.
To be honest, well, even though I actually was born in Panama, I do not know much regarding Panama's law right now. However, well, as everybody should know, Outlier is actually opening a branch in Panama regarding the same services that we provide here. Right now, we're dealing with immigration services, but we're planning to extend into business and real estate also in Panama. So maybe we can schedule in one of these webinars with our colleague in Panama, whose name is
Yes.
Diana Castañeda, so that she may provide all the information for the Panama in case people is actually interested into looking into that also that possibility to live in Panama.
Yeah, that would be awesome because people are looking all over, and Panama is also a great country, and there we can educate people and teach them about that as well. So one last question for everybody. It's just really about, what is it what's everybody worried about? Because I don't know if everybody said in our poll that half and half the people live here, half of them don't live here. So I'm assuming the half that don't live here may not be here now. You really have to look at all the overall costs when you're looking at what country you're going to pick, and that because some places the real estate may be way more expensive, but your monthly overall expenses may be a lot cheaper. And so I just wanted to kind of, take a pulse here of what people's number one worry is about residency in Costa Rica right now. And it seems like we're leading again with this cost of the Caja. But I hope that, Alfredo, I really hope that what we did today was help people and educate them on the way it really is. Anybody on this call or listening to us today, if you see this webinar after it's posted on YouTube, you're always welcome to reach out. Outlier is totally reachable. We have a website, outlierlegal.com. You can always reach out and email and ask questions there. If you do that, one of the members of my team will answer you. And one of the Outlier experience managers will do their best to help you answer your questions, talk to you by phone, anything that you need so that you really can make a choice that's important to you and your family. Because at the end of the day, what we really care about is we really care about you and your dreams of coming to Costa Rica or wherever. We want expats to fulfill their dreams and reach their dreams. And just like Alfredo said in the beginning, that's what we do. And on that note, I just wanted to mention again that, we're going to have a series of webinars. I hope everyone enjoyed this. I hope that you learned something, and I hope that you guys will come back for the next one, which is the paper chase. And if you are looking at residency or thinking about it or curious as to what you need and what documents, how to get them, we will have Amanda with our documents sister company here, and we will be talking to her and learning all about the paper chase. So thank you all for coming. Have a great day, and we'll see you in Costa Rica. Ciao.
Thank you.